Hey, Basic here. Apparently I forgot to hit record yesterday when I cut up all these pieces, but we're just going to pretend like you saw it and it was amazing, and we're going to keep on rolling forward. What we're building here is going to be a wall-mounted bike repair stand. I have this kind of janky one that you might have seen in earlier videos where it's just made from 2x4s, but it's kind of big and clunky and gets in the way. This one, the idea is it's going to mount up on the wall and it's going to fold down when I want to use it and then fold back up when it's not in use to keep out of the way. So today, as I said, I already cut these out. Unfortunately, I didn't film it, but we're going to assemble it and I'll show you how it works. And it's going to have enough tool holding space for all of these here, which are my Park Tool Allen keys and a bunch of Torx bits and 2 screwdrivers. So let's get into it.
So the core behind this design is basically a parallelogram where two sides are always going to be parallel to each other. And I do this by using 4 pieces of wood. The 2 long ones are about 3 feet long and the 2 short ones are 18 inches or 1.5 feet long. And they're all connected together with some gate hinges. If I was going to do this over again, I would have made the shorter ones a bit smaller, probably maybe a foot or 10 inches. That would have given me a little more height when it's retracted, and you'll see that a little later. The long ones that are about 3 feet, those are a good length. It gives you enough distance from the wall that you can work on both sides of the bike. So I'll probably leave those as they are. So this bit here I struggled with. I couldn't find a good way to clamp this little angle piece onto the board here. So I tried clamping on the sides and then using one of the screws that holds the gate latch to also hold that little triangle piece. It kind of worked. Honestly, it was really awkward to try and get the screw in there without pushing the other little triangle piece off, but eventually I got it to work. So here I'm connecting the tool holder to the little wedge piece. And the reason I want that wedge in there is so the tool holder leans forward a little bit. If I recall, I'm pretty sure I did it at 15 degrees. That's just enough that it'll make the tools all lean forward and be turned the same direction. It kind of makes them look nice, and it makes it easier to get the tool in and out of those pre-drilled holes. So you might notice that the tool holder isn't actually centered on the bike rack, and that's because there were more of the Park Tool Allen keys than the Torx. And I wanted to have all of the Allen keys on one side, the screwdrivers in the center, and then all of the Torx on the other side. So to get that kind of perceived symmetry, I had to make the actual holder slightly off center. And you'll see a little later, it actually looks pretty good in my opinion. So I struggled with this part a fair bit as well, trying to find the right location for these gas struts. These are the same gas struts you'll probably see on the trunk of a car. I'll throw a link to the ones that I use in the description. I wasn't quite sure how strong of a gas strut I'd need or how long I would need. So after trying a bunch of different setups for the gas struts, I think this was the best combination of enough travel that it can reach out far from the wall and also being able to retract high enough to get out of the way without hitting the ceiling. I ended up putting it about in the center of the shorter beam and about 1/3 down the longer beam. I also wanted to be able to control how far down this whole assembly, folded. So I wanted to do that by using a chain and a carabiner clip. So here I'm adding a big beefy eye ring that I can attach a carabiner and a chain to. So the other end of the chain is going to attach to the wall, and you're going to see that in a second when I test it out on this pole here. So the idea is the chain attaches to the wall, and then a carabiner attaches from the chain to this little eye ring, and I can change where the carabiner is on the chain to control the height of how far it's going to move up and down. So putting this thing on the wall is probably one of the most awkward things I've ever had to do because it's large, it's clunky, it kind of moves around when you're trying to hold it. So trying to find the right place was quite a challenge, and I was hoping to get it above my helmet rack thing. But unfortunately, my ceiling was a bit lower than I expected. So I had to take off the the helmet rack so I could mount the bike rack a little bit lower so I can make sure to clear the ceiling while the tools were still in the tool holders. So first I attach it to the wall with just one screw, and that way it lets me kind of rotate it back and forth until I get it nice and straight using a level. And then once it's nice and straight, I add additional screws to really add that strength. And I think I ended up using 8 or 10 3-inch long deck screws, which is probably more than I need, to be honest, but might as well be safe and really overdo it. Finally, I add the other eyelet up on top of the wall, and that's where the chain's going to connect to. I get a little more chain length than I think that I'll need. That way I can put the bike rack lower if I want to for some reason. And I go ahead and cut the chain. This chain isn't particularly hard, so I just cut it right in place. Normally I wouldn't recommend cutting metal when you have a wood background just because it's a bit of a fire hazard. Like I said, this chain was pretty soft and it cut pretty easily. The finishing touch is just adding a piece of pool noodle where you're going to hang it by the seat. This is kind of an optional step, but I think it, protects you from scratching your bike by accident. And that's really all there is to it. It's pretty easy to pull this thing down with one hand and put your bike on and just go to work. You take your bike off and it lifts right back up all by itself. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.